And we're live. Welcome back to the eSellerCafe News Roundup. My name is Dave, and I'm joined, as always, by Mr. Richard Meldner. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Why am I always Mr. Richard Meldner and you're just Dave?
You can be just Rich if you like. It's like a form of respect.
The form of respect. Okay. Well, you are from Manchester. You're nice to. That's right. You're a Mancunian, right?
Absolutely. I'm yeah. We know there's more scoundrel than gentleman when you're from Manchester.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, so welcome back to the eSellerCafe News Roundup, where we are bringing you all the latest and greatest news from the world of e-commerce. And for anyone who's new, welcome. And what we do is we have a lightning round where we give you a very high level heads up on some of the smaller news pieces throughout the week. And then towards the end, myself and Richard will talk about the sort of 2 or 3 big stories and have a discussion around them. As always, if you are watching live, you're more than welcome to get involved on the live chat, which is on the right-hand side of your screen. Or if you're watching the recording, leave us comments down below or over on the eSellerCafe.com news site. And again, we'll be able to respond to you there as well. And with that said, for anyone who wants to find out more about the stories that we're talking about, if you click underneath this video, there's a little bit of a box and it says show more. Click show more. All the links to everything that we're talking about are down there, and you can click them and find out more about what it is we're talking about this week. So with that said, despite the upcoming holidays, there's been lots of news, which is nice. Like, so we were a little bit not concerned. We were aware that the big boys might go a little bit quiet as they start focusing on the sales. However, there's been quite some interesting press releases this week. And Richard, you've recently just expanded out a new piece of the last 14 days. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I did that because when I started realizing how much content we're now creating with the press releases and our own content, that it's impossible to talk about all of that, and it's sometimes, we changed the layout of the site as well because of that, and then added the last 14 days where it's the only place you click on, you see it sequentially how we posted the content, whether it's a press release or a story. That's what's there. It's not, there's no tags, there's no categorization. It's just a pure look at what was posted in a timeline order.
Well, that sounds really good to me. So yeah, looking, again, links are down below. So yeah, you'll be able to keep up to date with all the latest news from there. And right, let's kick things off. Onto the lightning round. And Richard, it's over to you.
Yeah, we got a big lightning round. Google Autocomplete comes to Shopify stores. Basically, if you've gone to stores, especially the big boys, and you start typing in like your address, so all of a sudden starts to autocomplete. Well, it requires some back-end work from Google, integration with that, and Shopify now offers that to all its clients. Kind of a cool thing. It cuts down on mistakes. It speeds up the process, and it's designed to effectively reduce checkout friction. So if you have a Shopify store, I would say enable it. No reason not to. eBay launched a new service called Authenticate. This is a bit of an odd one because, initially you think, okay, if I'm a business seller and I'm selling items that are authentic, can they authenticate them for me? It's not aimed at business sellers. There may be something in the future, but right now this is purely aimed at consumers. Now, obviously, a business seller that sells second hand goods, such as handbags and wallets, can still use the service, but you might have to use a separate eBay account if your eBay account is set up as a business account. And the way this works is also unique in that you don't do any of the work, really. You basically say, I got this item to ship. You start the listing process. You tell it you're going to do Authenticate. End up creating a label. You package it up. You send it off to eBay. They look at it. They take pictures of it. They evaluate it. They give it a price. They list it. They do it. And then they ship it to the customer. And you get paid once the customer receives the item. So that's the nice part of it. That's why they want 20%, but for a limited time, they're offering to do it for 10%. So, you know, if you're in that business, it's maybe worth looking at and running it as a sort of a side part, because it has to be a consumer account right now. eBay clarifies best offers on auctions. There was a lot of talk about 10 days ago, it popped up, actually maybe over the weekend before. Wait a second, why do all of a sudden have best offers? And the most people are complaining about business sellers because they're like, I don't want this on my, you know, don't want a best offer. I want this to run as an auction. And so this is another experimentation gone a little wrong. eBay admitted the mistake. They fixed it. And it is really just designed for consumer auctions right now. So anybody with a business account should not see that on their auctions anymore. Whether they might make it available to business accounts down the road, who knows? But it'd probably be an opt-in, would be my guess, because of the pushback that seemed to have happened. Personally, I think that eBay didn't think about the differentiation between business and consumer and just realized when so many people complained, oh, wait a second, this is our way out of it, but we'll see. And now what else we have is Venmo now accepted in millions of retailers. Venmo is the peer-to-peer payment system that PayPal purchased, and everybody goes, why do they have this? Well, it's hip. It's, you know, it sort of was a millennial, young people's kind of thing, and PayPal maybe was the old fogey thing. I don't know. So anyways, the Venmo, they purchased it. You could transfer money between each other, and there was no monetization there for the company because money, just the same dollar, went from one person to the other person. It made no sense initially, but now it's starting to, because they're taking this digital wallet, which continues to grow, and now integrating it into PayPal's payment schemes. This initial rollout seems to be aimed at retailers only, but obviously retailers meaning physical stores. But I believe we're going to see an e-commerce integration with this pretty soon, because it makes sense, you know. So keep looking on our page. That's my first section. I have two sections to enlighten on today.
I think I've got two as well. Yeah, it's a busy one. But this is going to be super quick. My pieces this week included exit surveys can help in conversions. Again, it's not really rocket science here. By actually finding out what your customers are doing, it can aid you in fixing any potential leaks, any potential problems, and aid in your overall conversion of your website. Exit surveys, aiding conversion, simple as. Next up, we have Elon Musk warns about how the AI race could lead to war. This isn't exactly new news for anyone who knows Elon Musk, like, and what he's sort of been about recently in the news. He's been a bit of a, not a scaremonger, but he's been a little bit hesitant when it comes to AI specifically, and he's a big believer that we need regulations in place in order to properly monitor AI. Apparently, he's had private conversations with Sergey Brin from Google, who is obviously a massive advocate for AI, and Elon Musk is of the belief that AI could potentially basically take over the world, in a case of, if machine learning is incredible, and when you compare machine learning with AI, you obviously get self-learning AI, and to the point where it can learn quicker than what we can, it overtakes us, and therefore if it then gets the ability to have its own thoughts and no longer listen to what we choose it to do, it could potentially lead to a bit of a problem in a very war of the world sort of like situation. Is Elon is he I don't know, is he going a little bit too far with this? I don't really know. It's a curious one that is, I think it's important that we have the conversation. I think for that, Elon Musk is providing a service by actually talking about this, rather than just everyone running away with AI and we running into problems before we know it. Yeah, those are quick two pieces from me there.
Let's see. I had a couple quick ones. Etsy releases new gift wrapping option to sellers. It's a new option that they added, kind of like how on Amazon you can select have item gift wrap for the holidays. They're doing it now on Etsy. Each individual seller is responsible for doing the gift wrapping. There's a little bit of discussion among the seller community groups there that this services applies the entire order. Therefore, if somebody orders 20 pieces, you get the same fee whether you gift wrap 1 or 20. So that's so it's not. It's a nice little add-on. It probably will not work for some sellers that have a lot of things listed because they might get overwhelmed with gift wrapping, and that's obviously a time sensitive or time a lot of time spent on doing that. So, but again, Etsy's adding more features, and if they make some little changes to it, that's good, and that's good. They keep bringing out stuff. eBay raises fees for motor sellers in Canada. Our friends up north have been paying not as much for some of Motor's advanced fees, which include some of the reserve fees and stuff like that. Doesn't impact the majority of sellers, but some of those fee increases were like 80%. It's like, ooh. I don't think that they're gonna push the needle on their earnings. Let's put it that way. I think there might have been more of a complaint between U.S. motor sellers, especially ones that might be operating by the border, since cars in the U.S. can be licensed in Canada and vice versa. That maybe there's some unfairness to the system. I don't think there's a great impact on everybody, but because it only really applies to some advanced features, and when you're looking at the total cost of a car, yeah, I don't know. I don't sell cars online, so I can't say, but
me neither.
But anyways.
Yeah, one to be aware of either way. Next up, back to me. We had same-day delivery announced by ASOS this week. ASOS, obviously the fashion marketplace based here in the UK. ASOS Instant is what it's called, and it's basically going to be offering same-day delivery in London to begin with. And after that trial, it will look to try and expand it to other parts of the UK as well. This is, for me, interesting news. It's the only other sort of big, sizable marketplace which is now dabbling with same-day delivery in the UK. Obviously, other than Amazon. The thing is with ASOS, Amazon are probably not going to be that worried anyway. Amazon are private labeling their own fashion right now. They're already same-day delivering it, and ASOS only do fashion. It's just one small string to Amazon's mighty bow, so I don't think they're really that worried. I just think it's nice that, again, Amazon has sort of set the standard for same-day delivery, and now other marketplaces and soon websites are also going to be towing the line. I do think there's going to be a surgence of retailers who offer same-day or who can offer a same-day delivery service here in the UK this Christmas and Black Friday. I think they're going to do very well. I expect the likes of John Lewis next. The big high street stores who always tend to do historically big things for Black Friday. I think we're going to start seeing some more same-day delivery or free same-day delivery options on the right sort of products. So one to keep an eye on for sure. And the next one is, are automated planes the future of transport? Now this is, again, a very I seem to write all the contentious ones this week. It's a funny one.
Clickbait.
Maybe a little bit, yeah. Elon Musk prepares for war. Yeah. Planes going to fly themselves. It's a curious one, and it obviously has great implications for e-commerce in terms of moving products around the world, without the need for pilots, which are traditionally very expensive, especially some sort of freight pilots who pilot big planes. All of a sudden, if you can take away a big portion of that salary cost by having drones or, pilotless planes, it becomes much cheaper to ship things around the world, which, again, therefore means we can have more flights, more deliveries, more movement of goods. It's potentially a very good thing for e-commerce. However, when we bring it into the commercial sort of space, in terms of commercial flights, I'm not sure how I'd feel about getting in a plane piloted by a computer. And it's the same. I'm not sure how. I mean, I'm not a big fan of driverless cars. I enjoy driving. That's something which I enjoy. You know, I don't want a car which can drive itself. Part of the fun for me is driving the car. And I'm not sure if the world's ready for a pilotless plane. I'm not sure the world's ready for a pilotless car, to be honest, a driverless car. But I think we are, over time, we will get there. And it will bring with it, again, some very interesting ethical questions. Obviously, a few years ago, obviously, let's think about, obviously, terrorist attacks is something which, you know, would a pilot be unable to override a computer? That would probably be a good thing. Also, not too long ago, there was I think he was a Spanish pilot flying for Lufthansa who was depressed and flew into a mountain.
That was a German pilot.
Was that a German pilot? Sorry.
Wings, yeah.
I apologize. Was it Lufthansa? Was it?
No, it was German Wings, and he was able to fly in a mountain because the other pilot went out of the cockpit.
That's it. He locked the door,
and he decided to go nuts and fly into the mountain. And now, at least in the United States, every time a pilot goes to the bathroom, has to be
someone else in there, doesn't there?
A flight attendant goes into the cockpit.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, it would remove the risk of, you know, a maniacal episode from a pilot. So again, there's certain things where this is a good thing potentially, but I do think you know, I've had too many incidents of this computer has performed an illegal operation, it has to shut down. I'd really not like that if I was like 40,000 feet in the air. I wouldn't like the plane to have to do a reboot. You know, so
well, this is a funny one. I'll share this. This was about, I don't know, one of my travel stories from years past. And we're getting away from the gate, and there's a small one of those commuter jets, right? And we stop, and the pilot comes on and says, well, I apologize, we have to reboot the plane. We're having an issue with one of the instruments not showing correctly, so we're going to shut off completely the plane and start a reboot. As soon as all the power came up, the first sound you heard was that Windows.
Doon, 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 doon.
Now, to be fair, that sound was part of the media, the announcement system. It had nothing to do with the cockpit. But you sit there like, well, maybe that's the problem. The blue screen of death. You know?
The pilot's using Flight Simulator 10. It's really weird.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, you know, it isn't. I mean, I fly a lot, so it's interesting.
Exactly.
But I'm not sure that I would get on the plane if there wasn't two pilots in the front. I strongly believe in the concept that during an emergency, and that many emergency or problems have been controlled or handled by pilots. Yeah. You know, the old aviate, navigate, communicate. You know, that kind of.
Absolutely. I mean, you think about, you know, Captain Sully, obviously a famous one recently. Yeah. You know, and people, you know, experts have come out and said, we don't know how nobody died doing what he did. But, you know, and again, I'm maybe a little bit biased. You know, my uncle is a pilot. He has been a captain. He's been for many years. And I hear stories that he tells of, you know, certain things which he's had to deal with. I've got a friend of mine currently who's going through pilot training, and I see the training he goes through. It is intense. You know, they learn a lot of things. Before they're even allowed in a plane, they have to pass like a 6-month flight, you know, crash course on physics, maths, everything about how the plane actually flies. And it's, I have a lot of respect for pilots and the knowledge that they bring. And I'm not sure I'm ready for them to be removed.
I'm the same way. And that Miracle in Hudson, I think I read this at the time. It's like they gave that, they asked other pilots in the simulator to do the same thing. And I think the majority of them crashed.
Yeah. Most people killed everybody.
Yeah, and to date, I believe it is the only absolute successful water landing of a commercial aircraft in history. Think about
incredible.
This. Incredible. You know, we've had these. You know, they always tell you, "Oh, we're gonna get these life vests," and we go like, "Why?"
What good is it when it's splattered over the plane? Doesn't make any difference.
I said that I've made those comments like this has happened once in aviation history. That somebody actually managed to get the plane
life jacket on.
Everybody got off. You know, I think there have been a couple other things, like there was this Entebbe flight that was really awful, that was crashed intentionally into the water because the pilot was on the hijack and he did the best he could. But you know, the reality is, you sit there and go like, yeah, I'm not sure I'm ready for that. Yeah. But commercial aviation, I mean, not commercial, I mean, as far as freight aviation, that's where you could see it, and you know,
well, it's already here. You know, the military use drones every day. You know, planes are here.
Well, the technology is technically there too, because let's be realistic. Heathrow is one of the first airports that basically had a system in place to allow planes to land without a pilot actually flying the plane to land, because you can't see anything in the fog. So that was 30 years ago. You know, so the planes fly themselves as is. The pilots are basically there to make sure it flies the way it's supposed to fly, you know, and take over when necessary. Anyways, back to the lightning round.
Yes, we need to be super lightning now.
Shopify adds DHL Express to Shopify shipping. There we go. There's our connection. You know, DHL, cross-border trade here in the United States, not a big player as far as the domestic shipments. As a matter of fact, I think they have no domestic shipments anymore. They used to have ground and stuff that they found out, but they got rid of it all. So anyways, DHL, if you're on Shopify and you're selling internationally, DHL is well known, much better known than UPS or FedEx to some extent, or maybe not known, but has much greater acceptance outside the United States. So US sellers really do need to look at DHL as an option for cross-border trade. eBay introduces 2 new features for eBay Motors. Both of them are kind of unique and good because they don't actually allow you having to do anything, and they might be very significant. If you're a tire seller, you now the buyer will get an option to be able to select a location near where they live to have the tire shipped there, and then set up an appointment and have them installed. I mean, effectively, that's what most people do. You know, people don't have tire mounting machines in their garage, at least not the average person. So therefore, if you buy tires online, you do that. Now, Tire Rack, which is our #1 mail order company here in the US that has been selling tires for many years, has been doing this for many years. And I suspect it's going to be pretty much the same group of more independent tire dealers, because the big ones like Firestone, Goodyear, and others do not touch third-party purchases for commercial and liability reasons, so they claim. So that was one good thing. So that should help the whole tire business on eBay. The second one is that you can now talk with an ASE certified technician if you have some questions about how to repair your car before or after choosing the you know, or which parts to choose. Again, another interesting service for the do-it-yourself crowd. You don't have to rely on the seller to give you the information. They do say, well, you know, I will say this: most buyers will probably kind of rely on a seller to provide that information for free as part of their quote-unquote service. But there might be cases where, you know, this could be helpful. But either way, both of those services are available at, you know, no charge to sellers and for all sets. So that's a good thing. Walmart, I had to laugh at this. Walmart to build online mall with Lord & Taylor. Now, you couldn't find 2 more polar opposite groups of stores and go like, here we have Lord & Taylor, the high street, high fashion, high top end, and then we have Walmart, you know, who is still like the I don't want to call it the trailer park trash, because it's not everybody shops at Walmart, but you know, the huge difference.
Yeah, it's
budget. And
I've never heard of Lord and Taylor. I guess that shows which part of the group I belong in.
Yeah, it's like so. But the funny part is, I remember, again, I'm a child of the you know, saw the internet grow up, so to speak. So I'm a child of the '60s. You know, I remember in the very beginning when Yahoo came out with the original Yahoo design and stuff. Like, oh, we're going to have these online malls. You'll be able to click on there and it'll be virtual, you know, and each mall will have like some stores. And there was people doing all these affiliate programs. That's actually how I think a lot of affiliate programs got started, because they're creating these malls and then doing and then that term disappeared because it just was everywhere. Well, it seems like out of the dustbin of history, Walmart is taking this mall name back out. And now the interesting part here is, if they're doing it with Lord and Taylor, are they going to do something like that with the other ones that they own, which are also more on a higher end, like ModCloth and Shoe Buy and others? So we'll see where this is really going to go. Alipay slow but meticulous expansions in North America. Alipay keeps saying we're expanding, but we're not competing with PayPal or others in this market. We just want to offer our Chinese or Southeast Asian customers the ability to use Alipay digital wallet all over the world. So they're making more deals with card processors here in the U.S. or in other parts of the Western world, I guess. I do suspect at some point they're going to say, oh, look, we have all these people signed up now. Now we can start offering digital wallet in the U.S. That's my belief, but we'll see where this really goes. Josh Silverman, the CEO of Etsy, asked himself when he took over the job, what's Etsy's role in the world? It's a really interesting question.
The CEO was asking that question.
And, what is Etsy's role in the world? And partially he obviously took it from the point that Etsy to up to his tenure now has been really heavily on the social consciousness of being a social conscious company. Now with Wall Street pressure, that means you're going to have to find a nice balance, but you don't want to just go from one to the other, because a lot of your sellers are very socially conscious sellers, so you have to find a nice happy medium. I mean, for them, on the surface, this is a PR fluff piece. If we look at it from an e-commerce point of view, we go, yeah, what is their role in the world? Forget the social side of it, but where are they going to really head it with what they're doing? It's because they need to first, obviously, get their technology up to par with eBay and then move on from there. But just an interesting piece to read. And finally, a piece of one of our rare Saturday stories.
Yeah. I enjoyed this story. It's maybe one of my favorites of the week, actually.
Yeah, I thought so too. And Time Magazine released the top 15 influential websites of all time. Now, I found this story interesting because I kind of set the tone of it, and I never thought in a million years that I would write a story on an e-commerce blog that used the people Monica Lewinsky, Joseph Stalin, and Adolf Hitler. Okay. The reason I bring this up is because I framed the story on the fact that Time Magazine is famous for their what was originally Man of the Year, then Person of the Year feature. They do look at things from a controversial point of view. It's not about who is famous or good. That doesn't have to be a good situation.
It's just impacted the world, hasn't it, or something?
Yeah, it has to have an impact on the world, and obviously Stalin and Hitler sadly had an impact on the world for all the wrong reasons. Okay. And so therefore in this list, and we're going to probably do a little bit of a video. We talked about maybe doing our own video, a separate video discussing it in more detail. There's a lot of interesting companies on there and a few surprising ones. WikiLeaks is one site that's on there, and then the Pirate Bay. And you say, well, why would
again, you can't really argue. These were influential websites. I mean, WikiLeaks still is, but Pirate Bay was hugely influential.
Yeah.
And like you say, sticking with Time's, sort of perspective on it, good or bad, they've had an influence. So I think it's a fascinating article. Like I say, I loved it.
Yeah, and I basically took the top 15 that they presented and created my spin on why they were. Some of the spin was same as Time's, some of Time Magazine, some of it was different. I think it's a really interesting read, and I think we're going to do that video.
Yeah, this week we'll do a video dedicated to that story because I think it's, again, another fantastic discussion piece for sure.
Yeah, and it's going to take it's definitely going to take 30 minutes. We didn't want to do it today because we're going to run long.
Yeah, we could talk about this.
Now to our discussion round.
I know, yeah. We really need Matt back at one point to keep us on time.
Yeah, I know. Why don't we start with yours? Because I know mine was technically we'll just swap them around.
Yeah, swap them around. Yeah. So the main story that I wrote this week was actually a fun bit of a website which eBay UK had put together. and it's basically a year on eBay, the 2017 UK retail report. And it's quite a nice little site they've put together. It's quite fun. You head over to www.ebay-report.co.uk and you'll see this page. You click enter and it comes up with like 9 tabs or 9 boxes, squares, and sort of gives you a rundown of basically a year on eBay and what the sort of big stories or big things have been on eBay this year. So quickly going through it, and these are all for the UK, by the way. This is just pure UK thing at the minute. In fact, I'll give you some quick global stats. 1.1 billion items listed at any one time globally. Makeup products on average purchased every 3 seconds. Automotive part every second, and a video game every 8 seconds. In the UK, global shipping program handles over 5.5 million parcels a year from UK sellers. Jewelry and watches are most exported, and 74% of small businesses believe exporting or cross-border trade, as they like to call it, is the key to success for the UK economy, especially after Brexit. So again, some interesting, fantastic searches on looking at what's been trending on eBay search. There's a few usual suspects on it. iPhone, 7.7 million searches for an iPhone. And then there was the Hatchimal, which was the must-have toy last Christmas. That had 4.5 million searches. Harley Quinn was 4 million, probably off the back of that Suicide Squad film. But fidget spinners, 21.7 million searches. And the weird thing is it was all around the April time, because when it boomed, you see this spike. It's like, boom, 20-odd million searches for fidget spinners.
I know. I walk into a gas station nowadays and they have like a little box of fidget spinners.
Yeah.
So they go like, man, you people are like 6 months behind the times.
Literally, I walked into a shop and they had a wall full of fidget spinners. Like, good luck getting rid of them, because nobody wants them anymore. Yeah, it's the same thing happened with them hoverboards as well. But yeah, it's one of those. The people who were like first to market with fidget spinners made an absolute killing. I guarantee it. With 21 million searches just on the UK site, and I know they went global, so again, huge. And again, it was eBay shared some interesting stats about how search gets influenced by external factors. So in March 2017 here in the UK, hands-free car kits boomed because the law had changed here in the UK. They'd made it more fines and also 6 points instead of 3 for being on your phone in the car. So again, more people went and bought hands-free kits. We talked about April with fidget spinners. There's a peak of 70 searches a second for fidget spinners.
On the car thing, I have a question.
Yes.
Every time I see video of like the M25 around London.
Yes.
It never moves.
No,
Why
exactly.
is there difference? I'm driving.
Yeah, I mean, and that would always be my argument. Like, officer, it's parked. You know, it's. But I don't know. I'm not sure how it. I think it's if the car's in motion, then you're technically driving. On the M25 car park, I think the rules are different. And then June 2017 was pretty much when we had our summer for about a 2-week period here in the UK, and that saw a boom in paddling pool searches. So it is interesting to see how, like I said, these external factors do play a part on eBay search. And whilst you can always suspect that this is the case, eBay have actually come out and shared these stats with us, which, like I said, it's quite a fun little site. They talk also about the power of screen, how movie has impacted certain things being sold, as well as trainers. Again, huge thing to be sold on eBay. Yeah, and again, just I mean, I know you're a car parts kind of guy, Rich. So again, looking at this, car parts in the UK just is truly one of those nice all season round. Again, if you've got the diversity of products, it can be an all season round business. Like exhausts, 4,397 searches per hour in May for exhausts. And then fixing lights in winter, exterior lights, fog lights, all that sort of stuff. That sort of peaked around winter. And wipers before April showers hit. So again, with sort of February and March, saw a peak in windscreen wipers being bought on eBay. So it is. And also dash cams. Dash cams increased by 298% in sales for October last year.
because everybody's doing their Vine videos complaining about being stopped at the M25, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's that, or people are, just really enjoy those Russian dash cams that everyone sees on YouTube and think, oh, I'm going to put one up just in case I see anything crazy going on. So,
well, I've when it comes to the dash cams, I actually had somebody say, the good thing with them is that nowadays, if you get into an accident, you have immediate video evidence. Obviously, if you're at fault, you might want to make the thing
very quickly.
Yeah, but if you're not at fault, then hey, look at my dash cam.
Not like delete. Sorry, it's not been working.
I don't know, it wasn't working. But then in any case, if you had let me have my phone running while I'm driving, then I could have had it recorded.
I could have been Facebook Live and then there's no deleting. Yeah,
there's no deleting there. But no, I mean it's definitely interesting to validate the information, and also. It would be nice for eBay to put this out a little bit globally speaking, because here's an opportunity for example, U.S. sellers to look at this and say what works in the UK. And let's take the car parts business that you mentioned there, things like windshield wipers and stuff like that. Here in the U.S., some of those things are slightly different because, we have a greater variety of climates. That's one of the problems.
You've got a world of seasonality just in your country at any one time.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. So, and there is somewhat of a season here because of tax refunds that we have. We have a tax refund season, so that boosts usually that business in the spring. It's not much of a Christmas business, but like things like winterizing products such as flow liners and things do really well in the winter time, obviously. Well, in any case, there might be certain specific areas that could make sense, and when you look at some statistics like that, and go like, well, wait a second, I'm here, but I'm exporting those products to there. Maybe I should put more effort into providing those products in another country. So I think it would be nice if eBay could provide a little more detail like this on a global scale, because clearly with over 1 billion items and all the sales they have, that would be very useful information for sellers to have. I think, like you said, it was a fun little piece, but it was also an interesting piece because it validates some beliefs and gives you some insight, maybe there's some areas you hadn't thought about.
Yeah, exactly. Take some guesswork out of it as well. You might always think that that's the case, but no, actually saying, no, this is the data. And like you said, for it would be a huge benefit for eBay. You think about cross-border trade. If, I might assume something's selling well in Germany or Australia, but if they came out and went, oh yeah, this does really well in December to March, then be like, right, let's go get some stuff sent over to Germany then. Yeah. It would serve as a great sales marketing platform for them, I think. I thought it was a great idea. They'd obviously spent a lot of time getting the design right on it. It's very bit swish, but very, friendly, but also quite stylish in how they've done it. Obviously sticking with the fill your cart with color theme, lots of colors going on. But yeah, I think, hat tip to eBay. I think they did a great nice little marketing tool, but yeah, give it us globally.
Yeah. I mean, have every, we have global eBay seller updates. Why can't we have, a look at the year from eBay globally, so that we then can compare things, every market, every market at the end, they should do that for that market. Say, look what happens in this market, and do it in a native language and then translate it into English. It's not that hard. I mean,
yeah, exactly. It's
find an intern to do that job.
I'm not sure whether if this was just done off the back of some person at eBay Richmond in UK. Yeah. Then
he was stuck on the M25, like, hey, I got an idea.
I'm just gonna whip this together. I've got time. I'm on the M25. But yeah, so hopefully this has come globally, and we can soon expect other sites like this to be rolled out. But maybe it's just from the UK. Who knows?
Yeah. All right. Second one for our discussion round is another one that deals with analytical information. Amazon Prime hits 90 million members in the United States, according to CIRP, which is, now I forgot what it was stood for. It's a research company. Anyways, they put this out every so often, for all practical purposes. I mean, it's nothing really shockingly new there, except in our little infographic that we created, say that's 90 million Amazon Prime members. 95% of them will definitely or probably renew. That's a high number.
Oh, yeah.
I did a little research. For example, Costco is right around the 90% mark, which I thought was actually pretty high for Costco.
Yeah,
because
I'll go
there. But Costco's membership is also $60 versus $99. And when it comes to Amazon, for the $99, you get a lot of features. You get 2-day delivery here in the U.S. Obviously, in other parts of the world, it's a little quicker. You get all the videos and movies. So you get music. They're offering an awful lot of additional services, and I think people are saying, "Hey, $100 a year, this is worth it for me."
Yeah.
And that is validated by the fact that Prime members, because now they've invested into Prime, are almost 2 times the amount of spend. In other words, I think it's $700 for non-Prime members on a yearly basis on average, and it was $1,300. So it's not quite 2 times, but it's close enough to make it on the infographic as 2x. So I flunked math. No, actually I didn't, but close enough.
I should have.
Yeah. So it's that validates it. So Amazon's power is there, and these numbers are continue to grow. And what I found interesting, and I kind of did a little bit of a fun with numbers thing in the piece, going into households and stuff, and I have to laugh. Somebody must have read our piece and misunderstood my writing. Because it's not 90 million households, it's 90 million members. Anyways, total U.S. households that I estimate that exist in the United States is 125 million. Average number of members in a household in the U.S. is 2.58. So if you kind of sort of do the numbers a little bit, and without having actual stats, total population is 323 million. Some households will have 2 Prime memberships, some won't. Then there's also going to be the business Prime memberships, which can be counted in households. So I'm going to take a guess that probably nearly half or over half of all households in the U.S. now have Prime membership. That would be about 60 million. That would be my guess, using sort of the other relevant math from and making some general assumptions and reducing the Prime member, because you have to remember Prime members today, if you we don't know exactly 100% because it wasn't exactly detailed. You can have an associate Prime membership, then you have student Prime membership. So a student could have a Prime membership and on top of a regular Prime member in the house, so I think there's quite a bit of doubling up going on here and there because of all these various levels of Prime memberships. And and I have to be honest, like for example, a student living in a dorm, does that count as a household? I'm not certain on that one.
Yeah, there's a few interesting. I'm not sure what the rules are in the US.
Yeah.
But in the UK, if you're in a, I think the way that they work it here is obviously we pay for a TV license, and basically when it came to like a student accommodation, if you had like a TV point in a room with a locked door, it was technically a separate household. So you might have one building with 4 tenants in it, but that would be 4 households, according to the BBC at least. Robbing bastards. Sorry. Yeah, when it comes to Amazon, whether Amazon, it's an interesting point and one interesting to make. But I mean, for me, like when I was at the Catalyst event back in April or May, whenever it was, I think it was David Spitz from Channel Advisor then said that the numbers that they had last got from Amazon said that the Prime members in the US was just over 70 million. Which even then, we had the room pretty much going, what? Because that's basically more than every single person, man, woman, and child, having a Prime membership here in the UK. the numbers are incredible. Like literally every person you walk down the street, you walk down Manchester or London, and every single person who lives in the UK has a Prime membership. And then now it's 20 million more. It's incredible. The numbers are insane.
Yeah, absolutely. And
this is why Amazon's taken over the world.
maybe Elon Musk's automation will go war with Amazon.
maybe AI is code word for Amazon. Maybe that's what Elon's talking about.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Well, I mean, back to a little bit the small businesses here. What it boils down to, in all of this is that you can't ignore Amazon. You can't say, well, Amazon policies are this and Amazon is that. With the power of Amazon and the shift by people to purchase on Amazon, you have to at least consider it. Now, there might be some very good reasons. You might have big items that are hard to ship or send to FBA. I mean, that can be very legitimate reasons not to use Amazon FBA. But to just discount it and say, no, I'm not going to be there, my guess is going to be that probably in over 90% of industries, if you're not there, there's your competitor or a competitor is there. Mm-hmm. And they're tapping into these numbers, no matter, I mean, we can sit here and make fun about what is a household and not a household and what does that actually, represent. But if we assume that, 90 million people have Prime memberships, no matter how they're spread around the country, that's 90 million potential customers that go to Amazon.
Mm-hmm. That will more than likely go to Amazon before they go anywhere else.
Yeah, and if 95% of them are willing to renew, that means they're using it. That's the key you got to look at. So if what's that? 90.
I mean, my Prime membership renewed last month, and literally I saw it in the back. I didn't even know it was coming out. I looked in the bank statement and went, "Oh yeah, Prime." Didn't even question it. I was like, "Yeah, no, that's fine." Yeah,
exactly.
That. Great. So
it's like a utility bill now.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, oh yeah, there it is. No, have I had my money's worth out of that in the past year? Absolutely. Right. Let's carry on then.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I think from a small business point of view and an e-commerce point of view, people just cannot ignore Amazon and that's also the big battle that eBay has, and obviously Walmart is battling that, and I think we've talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I think there was a story maybe a month ago that talked about how Amazon said that more than half of the items sold on Amazon are sold by independent third-party sellers.
First time this year, over half of everything sold on Amazon is fulfilled by a third party. It always lingered around like the mid to high 40s, but they announced this year it was over 50% now.
Yeah. So you can't ignore it. I mean, it's even with Walmart coming on and all that, there's other opportunities there, but I know there's always this preaching of, well, don't put your eggs in that one basket, but it's a pretty damn big basket.
And I mean that for me, again, if we wanted to sort of end on this note, and that would be the key point, is that I talk a lot about minimizing risk with multi-channel and not putting all your eggs in one basket, especially the Amazon basket, purely because they wield that ban hammer very freely and will suspend you in a moment's notice before you've even really known what's going on. Someone got suspended on Amazon. I did a presentation again at eCommerce Shop, and I actually took a screenshot to prove this point, is that someone had been, an Amazon seller had been reported for selling non-genuine items, even though he had proof that they were genuine, and a letter from the manufacturer stating that they were genuine, he was allowed to sell them on Amazon. He still was suspended, because as far as Amazon are concerned, if there's any doubt that this seller is selling non-genuine items, they can't afford a buyer to have a bad experience, because if that buyer has a bad experience, he might not renew his Prime membership. And then that becomes costly to them. So rather than that, they're just going to ban the seller and then investigate. And then if you find out everything's fine, they might reinstate him after 4 to 6 weeks, after he's gone through a lengthy email process.
Was he an FBA seller, or was he fulfilling himself?
I'm not sure. He didn't say. But he was.
The reason I bring this up is because in the United States, FBA is commingled inventory. So if you're selling things that other people are selling, that's less likely to occur because when Amazon receives the item, they're going to see whether it's fake or not, because assuming they're taking a look at it, because at that point in time it commingles with their inventory.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, you can keep it from being commingled, but I think most people keep it commingled because it improves the 2-day delivery option, prime option, much better. So anyways.
No, makes sense. But like I said, this guy was adamant his stuff was genuine, and maybe it was, I'm not sure what product it was. Maybe it was not sexy and didn't fit in FBA or was too expensive. Yeah. But it's a prime example. So I'd always say that, you want to be on eBay, Amazon, and definitely your own website, because no one can kick you off of your own website other than your hosting company if you don't pay the bill. But the other point is now that you cannot ignore Amazon. As much as I'd always say, like, build your website and you really want people to be there, I also have to say now you have to be on Amazon, just purely because the audience that is there. If you're selling new products, you have to have at least some presence on Amazon. You have to, even if not all of your products fit there, you need to have some sort of vested interest in Amazon, just because of the audience and the diehard fans that they've got.
You mentioned something to me the other day that there was a company in Manchester that grew from being on Amazon and a marketplace seller to now they have retail locations.
Yep. So I mean, there's quite a few. The one that immediately swings to mind there is Boohoo and Misguided. Misguided has a couple of stores. I think we've got one in Selfridges here in Manchester, and another dedicated store down in London in Stratford in the Westfield shopping centre. But pretty little thing. I mean, they're all owned by the same the Kamani family, I believe, Umar Kamani. He's the guy who's now doing Pretty Little Thing. Again, Boohoo started off pretty much on eBay as like a fashion house. Now they've got a huge headquarters in Manchester, and their website is the big thing. They have celebrity endorsements, influencers. They've literally they've started off small on marketplaces, and they just reinvested website marketing. And now, like I said, you check out Umar Kamani on Instagram, every other picture's like him with he's just launching a new line with Kourtney Kardashian with his Pretty Little Thing logo. I've met Umar Kamani. He's literally down the road. He's a nice guy, and he's absolutely smashing it. But now he doesn't rely on marketplaces. So there's definitely still the ability there and it's all about building a brand. That's the thing these days. You have to build a brand. With the rise of social media, get influencers on board. And this is easier with some products rather than others. Like, this is fashion. It's the best one to use influencers with, because everybody wants to look like a Kardashian, apparently. But you can't. This is working for him. Multi-millionaire. I think I even heard there's rumors that his companies together are over £1 billion. It's incredible.
Well, and then you look at, I think the other brand that comes to my mind is Anchor. I think they started.
Oh the electronic accessories people.
Yeah, accessories. I think they started out on Amazon only. I think now they're starting to sell through a distribution channel and stuff like that.
Did they start off with USB cables or power banks or something?
USB cable power. I mean, and the thing is, all their stuff is good quality.
Are they a German company, Anchor?
No, they're headquartered in Texas.
Oh, right, okay. ANKER, yeah?
Yeah, ANK, yeah, it's just, yeah. So they're in Texas. I think they're in Austin. That maybe they were Australian first.
Something to do with climate.
But in any case, so the thing is, they produce a quality product. They package it very well. And I have to say that, when I now I just bought a new phone. I now needed USB-C cables versus regular USB cables, and I just bought Anchor products, and they were $2 or $3 more than some no-name brand I never heard of before. But you know what? With Anchor, I feel comfortable. So they build a brand, without ever doing any advertising that I've seen.
No, I've never seen them advertise either. But like you said, I've seen them on eBay. I've seen them on Amazon. Yeah.
And I know other people who've gotten their products. Hey, this stuff works. If you have a good quality product, and word of mouth can work, and the marketplaces like Amazon can give you the audience. You just
it's what you do with that audience which matters.
Right. Exactly.
I think that's probably a good place to end this week's eSellerCafe News Roundup. Yeah, so with that said, all the links to everything that we've talked about are down below. If you have any comments, questions, disagree or agree with anything that we said, let us know, again, in the comments down below or over on the eSellerCafe news website. And yeah, firstly, thank you to you for watching this, taking time to listen to us, have a chat and bring you up to speed with the latest and greatest from this week in e-commerce. And as always, thank you, Rich, for taking time to join us today. I won't call you Mr. Melder anymore. I'll just call you Rich.
There you go. That's perfect. When people say, sir, and I'm like, who are you talking to?
I get that. I was like, excuse me, is that Mr. So-and-so? I'm like, oh, that's my dad's name. I'm Dave. Anyway, before we go any further off topic, thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you, as always, next week, same time, same place. Well, maybe, do your clocks go back next week, Rich?
Oh, no, it's...
Because I think mine might do.
Yeah, I think we're 2 weeks off, different from...
I know there's usually a difference, isn't it?
Yeah, what's it called? And it started under the Bush administration, not getting political. It started under George Bush sometime in the 2000s. And it's like, I hate this whole daylight saving time they start with, and then just now made it worse. It's like, I don't know,
because it's not even lined up anymore.
Yeah, it's not lined up anymore, so I have to look it up.
Ours go back next week on the 29th, so yeah, so we'll have to who knows what time we'll be here. I'm pretty sure I'll be here at 4 p.m. UK time.
There you go.
Where that is in the rest of the world, I have no idea.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We'll send you an email and let you know.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get it into our Thursday email. So go to our website, sign up for an email list so that you know on Thursday what time you'll actually be on live next week.
Exactly, yeah. If that's not worth signing up for, I don't know what.
No, exactly.
So with that said, thanks once again, guys, and we'll catch you next week at some time, but at the same place.
Yeah.
We'll see you then.
See you then. Bye-bye.